Picture two coworkers. Same company, same job title, same starting salary of $52,000 a year. They were hired the same month, sit 3 desks apart, and have worked together for 6 years. Now here is where things get interesting. One of them, let's call her Dana, drives a leased Audi. She gets her nails done every 2 weeks, takes a beach vacation every summer, and her apartment is beautifully decorated. She talks about money constantly. How expensive everything is, how she is waiting for her next raise, how she would start saving once things settle down a little. The other one, let's call her Gwen, drives a used Honda Fit she bought outright in 2020. She brings lunch from home 4 days a week. Her apartment is simple, but comfortable. She almost never talks about money. And when the office takes up a collection for a last-minute team gift, Gwen is always the one who just quietly hands over the cash without making a face. Last spring, the company announced layoffs. Dana spent 2 weeks in a full panic. She called her mom. She stress shopped online at 11 o'clock at night. She started doing math on a napkin, trying to figure out how long she could last without a paycheck. Gwen shrugged, said she had been meaning to take some time off anyway, then went back to her lunch. Same salary, same years of experience, completely different financial realities. And the difference had absolutely nothing to do with luck, inheritance, or some secret investment strategy nobody told Dana about. It came down to habits. Specific, quiet, consistent habits that Gwen had built over years. Habits that most people walk right past without ever noticing. That is exactly what this video is about. Today, we are going to walk through the 10 habits of people who always seem to have money. Not the people who earn the most. Not the people who got lucky. The people who, regardless of what life throws at them, always seem to have a cushion, always seem calm, and always seem to have options when everyone else is scrambling. These habits are not glamorous. They will not go viral, but if you build even half of them into your life consistently, your financial situation 5 years from now will look radically different from what it looks like today. Let's get into it. Habit 1. They decide what their money does before they spend any of it. Here is the single most important thing that separates people who always have money from people who never seem to keep it. People who always have money give every single dollar a job before the month begins. Not a vague intention, not a rough idea.
This dollar goes to rent. This dollar goes to groceries. This dollar goes to the emergency fund. This dollar goes into the Roth IRA. Before a single purchase is made, before a single bill arrives, every dollar that is coming in has already been assigned somewhere on purpose. This practice has a name, zero-based budgeting, and the concept is simple. Your income minus your planned expenses equals 0. Not because you have spent everything, but because every dollar has been deliberately allocated, including the dollars going into savings and investments. The reason this works so powerfully is that it removes the moment of decision from the point of temptation. When you are standing in a store or scrolling at midnight, or a friend invites you to something expensive, you already know the answer. The money either has a job there or it does not. There is no gray area to negotiate with. Dana's problem was not that she earned too little. It was that her money had no instructions. It arrived in her checking account and waited to be spent on whatever came up first, which meant it was always gone before anything important could happen to it. Gwen's money arrived and immediately went where it was told to go. That one habit alone is worth more than any investment tip you will ever hear.
Habit 2. They pay themselves first, and they do it automatically. This one sounds simple, and it is. But the gap between understanding it and actually doing it is enormous. And that gap is where most people's financial lives get stuck. People who always have money do not save what is left over at the end of the month. There is never anything left over. There is never a perfect month where everything lined up and a surplus magically appeared. That month does not exist. If you are waiting for it, you will wait forever. What they do instead is remove the savings before they ever see the money. The moment a paycheck lands, a fixed amount, whether that is $50, $200, or $500, moves automatically to a separate account. A Roth IRA, a high-yield savings account, a brokerage account. It moves before the rent is paid, before groceries, before anything. This is called paying yourself first, and the automation piece is what makes it permanent rather than aspirational. When the transfer is automatic, you never have to make the decision. You never have to exercise willpower in a moment of temptation. The system makes the right choice for you every single time, without requiring any discipline in the moment. Here is the number that should make this feel urgent. A person who invests $200 automatically every month starting at age 25, earning an average annual return of 10%, will have approximately $1.1 million by age 65. The same person who waits until age 35 to start, just 10 years later, ends up with roughly $420,000. Same monthly amount, same return. A difference of nearly $700,000, bought entirely by 1 decade of delay. The habit is not the amount. The habit is the automation. Set it up once and let time do the rest. Habit 3. They know exactly what they owe and exactly what they own. Take a moment and try to answer these 4 questions right now without looking anything up. What is your total net worth? What is your exact monthly take-home income? What is the total balance of all your debt combined? What percentage of your income are you currently saving? If you hesitated on any of those, if any of those required you to stop and think for more than 5 seconds, that gap in awareness is costing you money, quietly, every month. People who always have money know these numbers cold, not roughly, not approximately. They know them the way they know their own phone number, and they track them regularly, not obsessively, not every day, but consistently. Once a month, they sit down and look at the full picture. What came in, what went out, what grew, what shrank, what needs attention. This practice is sometimes called a monthly money date, and it takes about 30 minutes. But those 30 minutes create something that no financial app or budgeting tool can create for you: awareness. Real, detailed, honest awareness of exactly where you stand. Because here is what happens without it. Small leaks go unnoticed for months. A subscription you forgot about, a fee that quietly increased, a spending category that crept up by $60 a month without triggering any alarm. Over a year, those small, unnoticed leaks can add up to thousands of dollars that disappeared without a single meaningful purchase to show for them. Awareness is the beginning of every good financial decision, and the people who always have money are aware in a way most people simply are not. Habit 4. They treat debt like an emergency, not a lifestyle. This one is going to land differently depending on where you are right now, and that is okay. Stay with it. People who always have money have a fundamentally different relationship with debt than the average American. They do not treat it as a normal, permanent feature of adult life. They treat it the way most people treat a burst pipe, something that needs to be fixed as fast as possible before it does any more damage. The average American household carries over $6,000 in credit card debt at any given time. At an interest rate of around 23%, that balance is generating roughly $115 in interest every single month. That is $115 leaving your household and going directly to a bank, in exchange for nothing. No product, no experience, no memory. Just the cost of carrying a balance. People who consistently have money have internalized one idea so deeply it governs every spending decision they make. Paying interest on things that lose value is simply lighting money on fire. They do not finance furniture. They do not carry a credit card balance month to month. They do not take out personal loans for vacations. They might use credit cards regularly for the points, for the consumer protections, for the convenience, but the balance is zero by the due date. Every time, without exception. And when they do carry debt, a mortgage, a car loan taken in specific circumstances, they treat paying it off as an active goal, not a passive background condition. If you are sitting with credit card debt right now, this is not a reason to feel behind. It is a reason to treat it like the emergency it actually is. Pick a payoff method, whether that is attacking the highest interest rate first or building momentum by clearing the smallest balance first, and pursue it with the same urgency you would give a leaking roof. Because every month that balance sits there, it is draining the future you're trying to build. Habit 5. They are almost impossible to impulse sell. Think about the last thing you bought on impulse, not a planned purchase, something that was not on your mental list before you encountered it. Now think about what triggered it. A sale notification, a friend mentioning it, an ad that followed you around for 3 days, a moment of boredom at 10 p.m. Impulse spending is not a character flaw. It is an engineered outcome. Entire industries, billions of dollars of research, psychology, and technology exist specifically to move money from your account to theirs in a moment of reduced resistance. People who always have money have built specific defenses against this. The most powerful one is the waiting rule. Before purchasing anything that was not planned, anything above a personal threshold, whether that is $30 or $100, they wait. Usually 72 hours, sometimes a week. Not to talk themselves out of it necessarily, but to give the initial excitement time to settle so a clearer decision can be made. Here is what the research shows. The vast majority of purchases that feel urgent and necessary at 9 p.m. on a Tuesday feel completely optional or even unappealing by Friday morning. The desire fades, the manufactured urgency dissolves, and the money stays where it belongs. They also remove friction from saving and add friction to spending. Saved payment information gets deleted from shopping sites. Shopping apps come off the phone. Social media follows that trigger spending, the home decor accounts, the fashion influencers, the lifestyle content that makes you feel like your life is missing something, get unfollowed without ceremony. Your environment shapes your behavior far more than your willpower does. The people who always have money know this, and they design their environment accordingly. Habit 6. They have a number and they know what it is. This is one of the least talked about habits, and it might be the most important one on this entire list. People who always have money have defined what enough looks like for them. Not the number society assigns them, not the number their income bracket suggests they should be reaching for. Their own number, based on their actual values, their actual priorities, and the actual life they want to live. They know what their target emergency fund looks like. Not some vague 3 to 6 months recommendation, but a specific dollar figure based on their specific monthly expenses. They know what their retirement number is, the amount they need invested to generate the income that covers their life without a paycheck. They know what their monthly spending floor is, the minimum they need to live comfortably, without deprivation but without excess. When you have those numbers, something powerful happens. Every financial decision gets filtered through a clear lens. Does this move me toward my number or away from it? Is this purchase above my floor, or does it require me to justify it against my goals? Without a number, lifestyle inflation is automatic. As income rises, spending rises to match it. The apartment gets nicer. The car gets newer. The vacations get longer. And somehow, no matter how much more comes in, there is never quite enough to feel secure. With a number, income growth above your defined enough becomes fuel. It goes directly toward freedom, investments, early retirement, the ability to walk away from something that isn't working, rather than disappearing into a lifestyle that just keeps expanding to absorb it. Define your number. Write it down. Put it somewhere you see it regularly. That single act changes the way every dollar that passes through your hands gets treated. Habit 7. They are consistent when consistency is boring. This is the habit that no one wants to talk about because it is profoundly unglamorous. But it is arguably the one that matters most over a lifetime. People who always have money are relentlessly, stubbornly, almost robotically consistent, especially when nothing exciting is happening. They invest every month, not just when the market is up, not just when things feel optimistic, every month. Even the months when the news is terrifying and the market is dropping and everyone around them seems to be panicking. They stick to their budget in December the same way they stick to it in February. Holiday pressure, family visits, social obligations. None of it becomes a reason to abandon the system they have built. They plan for those seasons in advance, and they execute the plan. They keep their emergency fund at its target level. When they pull from it, because life happens and that is exactly what it is for,
They rebuild it before they do anything else with the extra money. Here is the thing about consistency that most people underestimate. A mediocre financial plan executed with perfect consistency will outperform an excellent financial plan executed inconsistently every single time. The math on compounding makes this almost embarrassingly clear. It is not the rate of return that builds most wealth for most people. It is the number of years of uninterrupted contribution. Every gap, every year you stopped, every month you skipped, every season you decided to pause and restart later, costs you not just the money you did not put in, but all the compound growth that money would have generated for the next 20 years. Consistency is not exciting, but it is the engine. And the people who always have money have learned to find a quiet satisfaction in running the engine whether or not anyone is watching. Habit 8. They protect what they have built. Building wealth and protecting wealth are two entirely different skill sets, and most people focus all of their energy on the first one while almost completely ignoring the second. People who always have money understand that one bad event, one medical emergency, one lawsuit, one uninsured disaster, one period of unemployment without a cushion can wipe out years of careful building in a matter of months. So they treat protection as seriously as accumulation. This means they carry the right insurance, health insurance that actually covers a real emergency, not just the minimum required. A fully funded emergency fund, not 3 weeks of expenses, but 3 to 6 months minimum, and ideally closer to 8 months if their income is variable or their industry is unstable. It means they have a will, even if they are young, even if they do not think they have enough assets to justify it yet, because dying without one does not protect your people. It creates legal complexity and emotional burden at the worst possible time. It means they think carefully before taking on new financial obligations that could strain their system if anything changed. A bigger mortgage, a second car payment, a business investment that requires them to drain their safety net. Morgan Housel, the financial writer, made a point that has stayed with many people who read his work. He said that getting rich and staying rich are two completely different games. Getting there requires ambition and some degree of risk. Staying there requires something closer to the opposite: humility, patience, and a genuine appreciation for how quickly things can change. The people who always have money are playing both games simultaneously. They are building and protecting at the same time, and they never let the excitement of building make them careless about what they have already grown. Habit 9. They have more than one way money comes in. This habit does not mean everyone who is financially stable has a side hustle with a logo and an Instagram page. That is not what this is about. What it means is that people who consistently have money rarely depend on a single source of income to carry their entire financial life. Sometimes that looks like a rental property that generates $800 a month in passive cash flow. Sometimes it is a dividend portfolio that deposits into their account every quarter, whether they do any work or not. Sometimes it is a small freelance practice they run a few hours a month. Sometimes it is royalty income from something they created years ago that continues to pay them in their sleep. And the key feature of all of these is that they are quiet. They are not the thing these people talk about at dinner parties. They are running in the background, adding to the cushion, contributing to the options. IRS data consistently shows that people in the top wealth brackets are significantly more likely to have 3 or more income sources than average households. Not because they were born that way, but because at some point they made a conscious decision to stop depending entirely on a single employer's decision about their value. You do not need a second income stream tomorrow. You need to start thinking about what yours could eventually look like. A skill you have that could be monetized part-time. A small investment that could grow into something that pays dividends. A piece of content, a product, a service that could earn independently of your hours. The goal is not to hustle yourself into exhaustion. The goal is to gradually reduce the percentage of your financial life that depends on any single source. Because the more sources you have, the less any one of them can destabilize you. And stability, it turns out, is one of the most valuable things money can buy.
Habit 10. They think in years, not months. We have arrived at the last habit, and in some ways, everything on this list points back to this one. People who always have money think in long time horizons. Not weeks, not months, years, sometimes decades. When they make a financial decision, whether it is about a purchase, an investment, a career move, or a lifestyle choice, they are not just asking how it feels right now.
They are asking what this decision looks like in 5 years, in 10, in 20. That time horizon changes everything. A car that costs $800 a month in lease payments feels manageable right now, but over 5 years, that is $48,000. Invested instead at a 10% average annual return over 20 years, that $48,000 becomes $320,000. The question is not whether you can afford the payment. The question is whether you are willing to trade $300,000 of future wealth for a car that impresses strangers for 5 years. When you think in long time horizons, those trades become very hard to justify. This long-term thinking also shows up in how they respond to setbacks. A bad month does not derail them because they are not evaluating their financial life on a monthly basis. A market downturn does not send them running for the exit because they are invested over decades, not quarters. A slow period at work does not create a spiral because their safety net was built for exactly that scenario. Charlie Munger, one of the most successful investors in American history, once said that the big money is not in the buying and the selling, but in the waiting. The people who always have money have figured out how to wait. They have made peace with the slow, unglamorous, deeply unsexy reality that wealth is almost always built over a long time by people who simply refuse to stop. So let us bring all of this together. 10 habits. None of them require a high income. None of them require a financial degree. None of them require a lucky break or perfect timing or access to information most people do not have. They require decisions, repeated, consistently, over time. Giving every dollar a job before the month starts. Paying yourself first and making it automatic. Knowing your numbers cold. Treating debt like the emergency it actually is. Building defenses against impulse spending. Defining what enough looks like for you specifically.
Staying consistent when consistency feels boring. Protecting what you build with the same energy you use to build it. Developing more than one way money comes in. And thinking in years instead of months. That is the whole list. That is the entire playbook. And here is the most important thing to understand about it. You do not need to build all 10 habits at once. That is not how durable change works. Pick one, just one, that feels most relevant to where you are right now. Build it until it is automatic. Then add another. Dana and Gwen started at exactly the same place. Same salary, same opportunity, same city. 6 years later, they are living completely different financial realities. Not because of luck, not because of income, because of habits. Quiet, consistent, unglamorous habits that compound just as powerfully as money does when you give them enough time. You already know which habit you need to start with. Go build it, and we will see you in the next one.